And joining us now, Democratic Senator Alyssa Slotkin from the state of Michigan. She's had an extensive career in defense, including 3 tours in Iraq alongside the military as a CIA analyst. Senator, thanks for joining us. So the Trump administration has spent more than a week now denouncing you and 5 of your fellow Democratic lawmakers for that video in which you reminded members of the military that they have a duty to reject unlawful orders. CNN's K-File found that Secretary Hegseth once told an audience something pretty similar in a previously unreported video from 2016. Take a listen.
And I do think there have to be consequences for abject war crimes. If you're doing something that is just completely unlawful and ruthless, then there is a consequence for that. That's why the military said it won't follow unlawful orders from their commander-in-chief. There's a standard, there's an ethos, there's a belief that we are above what so many things that our enemies or others would do.
What's your reaction to this discovery?
Well, good. I'm glad at one point he thought that. And actually, I mean, this is something I've engaged with Secretary Hegseth on since his confirmation hearing. This was my line of questioning. If something illegal was ever asked of you, would you reject it? And it shouldn't be a hard thing to do. And I think just over the last week, we clearly hit a sore spot for the president and for Secretary Hegseth. And so it doesn't, I'm glad to hear that in 2016, he had something to say about the ethos of the military.
The White House today put out a new video attacking U-6. It features veterans attacking you for making that video, and they say they stand behind President Trump. What's your reaction to that video? We're not going to air it, but I know you've seen it.
Yeah, I mean, look, leadership climate is set at the top. When the President of the United States is saying that people should be arrested or investigated or hung, then we shouldn't be surprised when people up and down in society are going to do that. And that's certainly, and worse, and that's certainly been happening in my life and in others' lives. I think, the fact that we've been talking all day about these strikes in the Caribbean and what actually happened, and now the President is distancing himself from the strikes in the Caribbean, and the Secretary of Defense is distancing himself, sort of proves the point. I think, to me, again, we need transparency on what's actually happening. The Secretary should just come and brief publicly what's going on. The video of these strikes should be released so that we can just say with accountability what actually happened. But, less than a week of us doing this video, which we didn't think was anything other than restating the Uniform Code of Military Justice, we now have a situation where Democrats and Republicans are questioning what they're hearing about the striking of, survivors floating in the water.
President Trump says that he and also Secretary Hegseth didn't know about the second strike on that September 2nd operation in the Caribbean. Secretary Hegseth said he watched the first strike on the ship live, and then he moved on. He says that Admiral Bradley made the call to make the second strike. What's your reaction to that?
Well, again, I don't know. This is why we need transparency. But I think it's interesting, after the initial strike, the Secretary said that he watched the whole thing, right? And we know that there's video of the whole thing. So this thing could be easily deciphered if they just release the video. And I think the fact that they haven't, again, is certainly raising eyebrows on this issue. So look, come down, have a hearing, walk through it, explain to the American public what happened, and do what leaders do, which is take accountability and take responsibility. The
Secretary of Defense also says he did not personally see those survivors after the first boat strike because the boat was on fire, and he blamed the fog of war. From your experience working in the Pentagon, working in Iraq, do you find that credible?
Again, I don't know, but here's what I have seen. I've worked at the Pentagon under Republican secretaries of defense and Democratic secretaries of defense. The buck stops with the Secretary of Defense. And it wouldn't be the first time that a secretary has had things go on that they don't like or they don't approve of or whatever. But there is a sense of responsibility when you're a leader to take accountability for these things. And that's something that Mr. Hegseth doesn't seem to be able to do. In fact, it's the opposite. And right now he's blaming those in uniform. The Secretary of Defense is the ultimate leader responsible, and he should accept responsibility just like Democrat and Republican secretaries before him.
Democratic Senator Alyssa Slotkin from Michigan, thank you so much.
Thank you.